Welcome back to the Life Scope channel. On your way in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's appreciated as always. So, recently I saw this movie, Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black, and I didn't want to watch it right when it came out. I think it came out back in June because I felt like if you've seen one Tyler Perry movie, basically you've seen them all. So I was in the mood to watch it a couple of days ago and I decided to check it out. Now, I really didn't listen to any other reviews. I've read reviews about the movie, and for the most part, people were well, it was somewhat of a mixed review, but I did see more negative reviews than good. And for me, this movie, although it was the same type of setup that Tyler Perry always does with his narratives in most of his movies, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So that's not necessarily a compliment. I think if anything, the compliment would go to the actors that were trying to just do their job more so than him doing the writing. But it is somewhat of the same thing in terms of Tyler Perry and his writing and people basically just begging him like, "Look, please get some more writers. You can't do all this by yourself like you think you can." And I do agree with that. I feel like Tyler Perry should definitely try to have different type of writers, some young writers, put some people on in that way so that his movies could have a little bit of a fresh perspective, even with the directing, have a fresh look to it, and just really see how the movies are going to turn out. I mean, they either going to be good or worse. That's really going to be the gist of it. So why not give other writers a shot? So we don't know if he just not up for that or what's the case, but in this movie, yeah, the writing is definitely the same as the writing in his other movies. So in Divorce in Black, you have Ava Bertrand and Dallas Bertrand, played by Megan Good and Corey Hardrick. And in the opening scene, now the opening scene is at a church, a funeral, where Megan Good's father, played by Richard Lawson, is the pastor and he's like presiding over the funeral. Now, I do get that within like the first maybe 5-10 minutes of a movie, you are trying to get the audience attention. So I don't necessarily mind the shock value because it's like whether you hate it or whether you love it, you might stick around to see what is going to follow up behind something that may be deemed shocking. It really wasn't shocking to me. It was kind of one of those things like, okay, this is a little bit of an interesting twist. And it did make me say, well, let me stick around and see how this is going to go. What's going to follow up behind the funeral scene. So at the funeral, the pastor is doing I guess the eulogy. And during the eulogy, he couldn't help himself. This is where you watching as the viewer would just get a sense of who the Bertrands are. Cause the pastor couldn't help himself. He was sitting there and he was telling the congregation that, oh, you can't be out here or stealing and raping and killing and everything and not expect to burn in hell, basically. So the pastor's sitting up here and he's doing the eulogy and he's telling the congregation as well as the family that basically her son, Miss Bertrand's son, Dallas's brother, is burning in hell. So you know that's not really gonna go over well. And this is what makes Linda Bertrand get up, get upset, and she's basically over it. And then right there you can tell that the Bertrands I wish Tyler Perry would have gone into the story a little more because he just kind of put it out there like they are not good people, they're doing all these wrong things, and it doesn't even matter what's going on with them. And I really wish he would have kind of gotten into their story a little more to explain why they are like that because they didn't even mention Dallas's father or anything like that. So the mom gets up and she looks over at Ava and she was like, I thought your dad was going to say something nice. I shouldn't have trusted you. And, then she started yelling at the pastor. And also, she starts talking to Debbie Morgan, who plays Megan Good's mom. She starts talking to her. And while she's doing that, saying, I don't need your hand me downs, she's taking off like her blouse and she's taking off her hat. And she just tells them, I don't need your hand me downs. So right then you can tell that they obviously don't have a lot of money and they are terrorizing the town because it was set up like this was a small town or area. And she gets her boys and tells them to get the brother. So they trying to figure out, okay, well, let's how we gonna get the casket? And she like, nah, we don't need nothing from them. Get them. So they literally get the body of their brother out of the casket and then put him on the back of a pickup truck, and then they just go bury him. So, like I said, a lot of people were kind of talking about that scene, like he's doing that for the shock value, and he probably was doing that to try to just shock the audience with the scene. But I would say that scene probably did make a lot of people want to stick around to see what was going to happen next. Now, with Ava's character, to me, it's the same old character. It is the rundown, sweet little wife who's there for her, no good husband. And she actually wanted to wait on Dallas because the family done ran out and they done took the body. So she's like, well, I gotta wait around for my husband. And she's talking to her best friend who is married to Dallas's best friend. So that married couple, I'm just gonna call them the best friend couple. They're they're kind of going back and forth like maybe we should stick it out with you, see what's going on. And they're almost getting in a little argument. And she's telling them, no, don't argue, just go ahead, go on. I'm gonna wait on my husband. So let me just pick this up a little bit because I'm not gonna, I guess, tell the story in order because it was a lot of points that stuck out to me. in the movie that I want to get across. So fast forward a little bit. She goes to the Bertrand's house. And like I had already said, from the way the mother took off her blouse and took off her hat, you already got a sense that, okay, they obviously don't have a lot of money. So they're living in a trailer park off a county road. So she goes there looking for her husband, and they done buried him in the yard somewhere, and they're drinking, and then they're about to like get ready to go off to like the bar. Oh, wait a minute. Let me take that back. She actually like goes to the bar first. But she does go to the house, but then she winds up going to the bar because she's like looking for the husband. He wasn't there. And so they were playing pool and they were drinking. And she was going to get her husband. And when she goes outside, she runs into her old boo thing named Benji. And you could tell there was a little bit of chemistry between Benji and Ava by the way they were talking. And you could tell that she was real hesitant, like she didn't really want to hug him. She kind of gave him that slight, always almost like that sideways hug you give a person to just kind of be respectful to your man. So Ava was like trying to do that. And in the midst of that, that's when Dallas and the other brothers come out and they kind of start circling around Benji. And then it was known that they had a run in with him once before that had Benji being or going to the hospital. So they go on with their separate ways, but Dallas makes a big deal about trying to drive because he's so controlling. And you kind of see the dynamic that was set up in the scene. Ava had to ask the now oldest brother, because the oldest or the eldest brother is the one who was buried. So now the second oldest brother is like the oldest among the brothers. So Ava literally was asking him like he can't drive and this and that and beat up Dallas because he was trying to drive drunk. So right then and there you can tell that not only was Dallas's family full of crap, but that Dallas don't even listen to his wife. Like the older brother is the one that she has to go to in order to get him to remotely listen. And it was clearly something she has done before. So they make it to their own home, talking about Ava in Dallas. And they actually lived in Atlanta, so they're no longer in the country, so to speak. And Ava, she works at the bank, her and her best friend. Now, I don't know what Dallas does. They never really did say. And then I could have sworn I only seen Dallas go to like his job maybe once. So I don't know what he did. They didn't even get into that. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with this movie. Like a lot of stuff just wasn't explained that could have been that I feel like would have made the movie that much more better, or at least you'd be like, okay, it's I. It was just left unsaid because there was potential there to me, the potential in terms of the Bertrand and why Dallas is as messed up as he is, like I thought that was gonna be explained a little bit, but it wasn't. And even when they got back home, it was like the next day, Ava was going into the bathroom, and Dallas is on the bathroom floor next to the toilet, like he had been hugging it all night long or whatever. And when she's checking on him, Dallas says something like she made me kill him or whatever. And that just was never explained what. And I felt like Tyler Perry could have put in, if you don't want to really just, if it just takes too much time to just write the scene, I guess, or go into detail, dang, can we get at least a flashback of what was going on? Because I really was hoping that it would have been explained, well, who did your mother have you kill? Because it was pretty clear from how she acted in that church. She is the one who has control over her boys, and she was supposed to be this very overbearing mother. So that's what I'm saying. It was like it's potential for it to have been a good film, but in a lot of ways it just kind of fell flat. But I still would watch it again because I might be in the mood to look at something like this, especially it being like on a Lifetime type of level. Because if anybody watched Lifetime, all it was, at least back then, for a long time, it was literally the man did it. You don't know what he did, but the man did it. That's all you know. So I saw on social media that somebody had made a comment that Tyler Perry is like Black Lifetime. And when you really think of it, yeah, in a way, yeah, like how Lifetime used to be, where you just always are blaming the man in most of the movies. Yeah, I could see that. So, mm, sorry about that. Making sure I'm heard. So, this movie, I don't too much I don't too much mind it. Like with Mia Culpa, I had did a review on that, and although I love Kelly Rowland, that movie sucks so bad. I'm like, I'm not watching that again. That's something I just don't want to see. I felt like that was a waste of time. But with this one, maybe because they had actors like Corey Hardrick, Megan Good, Debbie Morgan, Richard Lawson, maybe because they had a little more better actors or whatnot, I will watch this again. So, getting back to the story, she hears him say that on the bathroom floor, and she kind of just, it's like she doesn't even really flinch. I guess maybe Ava is just so numb from all of what he has done to her. And it really wasn't said all of the things he did to her, but you already got a sense of um him possibly beating on her. And her friend, actually, her best friend, wrote down all of the things that Dallas has ever done to her, and she put it in a letter that she was holding on to. So they're on with their life. Ava's going to the bank because Ava and the best friend, they work at a bank. Like I said, I don't know where Dallas works. And they're supposed to be going out to dinner with the best friend couple. Now, Ava comes home about around 5. Dallas is already sitting there, he's drinking. And see, that's another thing. Like, you can have a person that is a drunk, and I guess I get the character. He could be a drunk all the time, especially if he kills somebody. But again, if you not kind of connecting things in a way, it just looked like, okay, he's just drunk for just like no reason other than to just be drunk. So he's already sitting there, he's already drinking. Ava comes in the house from work and he's basically telling her, hey, we got to meet our best friends for dinner. She like, we got time. It's at 7. Give me about 45 minutes. I'm gonna get dressed, then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go. So he is waiting and he ends up leaving her. And when she comes down the stairs, getting herself dressed, showered together, and all of that, she noticed that he is gone. And then it's like he already met the friends at the restaurant. And when he gets there and they're like, okay, well, where's Ava? He like, I don't know, at home or whatever. So then the best friend was like, okay, let me go ahead and call her, you bastard or whatever. And she goes outside to call and check on her friend. And with that scene, I guess I feel like it was a lot of unrealistic things or things that I couldn't buy. And like I've seen stuff um happen to people or whatnot or throughout my life. And I'm not saying that a character like Dallas doesn't exist, him like drinking, because that character actually does exist. And the character Avon, she does exist as well. But I feel like they were written in not a realistic way that I could buy, especially without really explaining what was going on. So he left her. He gets to the restaurant. She comes to the restaurant, and they ain't even wait to even eat anything. They didn't even have like more than a drink or two, and he like cussing her out at the restaurant and saying, "Okay, I want a divorce." And, and I'm sitting there like, y'all just got to the restaurant, or she just got to the restaurant. You been here at least for 2, 3 good minutes. She just got to the restaurant and you just telling her, I want a divorce just like that without even saying really what it is why you want a divorce from Ava. So she's sitting there, she getting upset. And when he says this at the restaurant and then just get off and leave, go off and leave or whatever, this is one of the conversations that I think would be relatable and maybe one of the reasons why women would actually watch this film. So Ava and her friend, her best friend, they're in the car. Somehow they are together without Ava's best friend husband. They're in the car because she's like, let me take you home and make sure everything's good or whatever. Somehow they're in the car together. And they're talking, and Ava says, I never thought I would be like one of those women or would say what one of those women have said, like I gave him my best years. And no, she also said that Dallas told her that nobody was gonna want her because she's like pushing 40. So basically, she's too old. Now, just pause on that conversation right there. If you know somebody that's ever been in like an emotionally abusive or maybe even physically abusive relationship, that is one of the things that they will tell their partner, they will tell her that don't nobody want you. And they'll try to just basically old shame. Don't nobody wants you. You getting too old. I'm the only one that's gonna put up with you. That kind of mess. And for a lot of women, if you did choose wrong in your younger years, that is a hard pill to swallow. It really is. To just know that you were young, more vibrant back then, haven't really experienced all that life has to offer for you yet, and you end up with the wrong guy. But he like drops all kinds of red flags. So it's kind of one of those things like, at what point do you get the strength to walk away from a situation, or are you just going to stay and try to endure the situation? So that conversation was one of those things that is, for the most part, I would say is like relatable. It's not like I haven't had a conversation with some girlfriends, or we're just all talking and we're sitting up here, and one of the girlfriends, they just like telling us, well, what's going on with her and her man, and that line hasn't been said, because it has. You felt like if you were with the wrong guy, you do feel like, well, damn, I done gave my best years to the wrong man. So it was a relatable conversation. But Ava ends up going to her house, and she doesn't stay there for long. She winds up driving to her parents' house. Like, they live in the country, so it's about maybe like a couple of hours or more of a drive, because she just doesn't want to stay at home. This man done told her he wanted a divorce. She would have probably, the way this character is, Ava probably would have rolled that thing all the way out. And for a lot of us, it is really hard to believe, if you have seen somebody get beat on, or know about somebody getting whooped on, or treated so badly or poorly, that you would stay. But then you have to kind of keep in mind that if your self esteem is real low, then that's one of the ways that somebody like a Dallas character would use to kind of keep you down and keep you right there with him. It's a way to control, even though it's your self-esteem, it is a way to control that person, using their emotions against them, basically. So even though that wasn't stated, that's just the kind of characters that have been in these Tyler Perry films. So Ava's at her parents' house, and she tells her parents, who they don't like Dallas no way, which is probably one of the reasons why the dad, the pastor, was also kind of going off at that funeral, because they can't stand him no way. She tells them like he wants to get a divorce, and she don't know what she did and all of that, and she tried to stick it out. And here's the thing, when she tells them that, she also kind of puts in because of what she's seen with her own mom and dad. But the dad had to tell her And what I mean by what she seen, I mean in terms of she grew up in a household with two parents. So she's seen her parents be married. So therefore, she's interpreting that, well, if you guys can stick it out, I can stick that out in my marriage. But her dad had to assure her that what he does for her mother is show her love. So it's really different from how Dallas does Ava. Cause he don't show her love. He act like he didn't like her. And that's, like I said, another thing I have with Tyler Perry's writing and not putting things together or explaining things. At one point, like it well, not at one point, at no point did he not like her. Like we can't see Dallas and Ava falling in love. He just hated her from the get go because he act like he didn't like her at all, and I feel like that's a little bit unrealistic if you don't explain what got them to that point. Because at some point they had to fall in love. Ava, I don't feel like, regardless of how sweet and innocent the role was written, I don't feel like Dallas could literally just go up to Ava back then because they got together around the age of 17 or something like that. They got together when they were young. So I don't feel like Dallas would go to Ava and be like, bitch, come here. And she gonna be like, okay, he called me a bitch and he told me to come here, but I'm gonna come. No. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there was no flashback scenes of why Ava is holding on to Dallas. So it's even harder to understand why she was around, but she does say it's because she saw her parents being married. But it's like you can't even use that template because your daddy is sitting here telling you, but I love my wife and I'm doing this and that for her. You see me do this for your mother. So it's very different. So the dad is going to the hardware store and he asks Ava to come along. She's still feeling a little low, but she goes along to the hardware store. And the dad is only doing this because he wants her to get back or get with Benji, the character Benji. Now, who is Benji? Benji is that what if guy. Now, I'm just going to kind of say this. Most women have a what if guy. It's like the nostalgia I feel that men have for women when they've seen them younger or was with them younger a certain way. It's kind of on the same level, I feel, with most women. And I'm only speaking for myself and people I know. And I mean, I know a lot of people. But it's kind of on that level, that what if guy. He's that guy like you may have talked to back in the day when you guys were younger, or you didn't talk, but it was always that what if we did talk? Where would we be now? Or you did talk, and then years later, it's like, well, what if I would have stayed with you? Where would we be now? So Benji is that what if guy for Ava. Now, she wasn't going around looking for Benji. Benji just so happened to live in the country. Her daddy basically is trying to put them in the same space so Benji can shoot his shot at Ava. So that just go to show that the parents obviously like Benji a lot. And Ava, she's not ready. They're at the hardware store. He trying to talk to her, but her character with these type of lifetimey ish movies, if you watched enough of them, her character is written like, "Oh no, I don't want you. Oh no, I'm just getting over my no good man, but I don't want you, Benji, even though you're the better guy for me. I got to pretend." So she does that, and she doesn't talk to him. At least at that point. But they're placed together again through some type of bake sale. And during the bake sale, now it's the mother, like a church bake sale that they had. Now it's the mother that's trying to put Ava and Benji in the same place. And once again, she tries to um, walk away from him. But that's going a little bit further into the future from the hardware store because I want to get back really quickly after they leave the hardware store. That letter that I had said that Ava's best friend wrote to her about all of the bad things that Dallas has ever done to her and was sitting on, she gave it to Ava. So Ava had it, and when she went to her parents' house, she had it there. So when she gets back in the house, she sees her mother reading that letter. And I just have to say, it's probably really hard for like um men and women if you ever put down in a letter every wrong thing that somebody that you said you loved or was with has ever done to you. If you are delusional, putting it down on paper and actually seeing it in print, it does hit differently. So the mother is reading that letter and she sees it, and Ava's coming in and the mother's crying, and then they have their moment, and the mother is like, "Where did I go wrong? Because I get it. You wanted to stick your marriage out. You see me married to your daddy. We doing our thing. And I just want to know, where did I go wrong? Because I didn't teach you basically to take this kind of abuse. Like he spat on you and he beating on you." So, and then and then the mother tells her, "Don't tell your dad because your dad will try to go over there and kill him." So they kind of keep that between them. So now back to the bake sale with Benji and Ava. So the mother tries to place them in that space. Well, they were already going to be at that same space, but she tries to push them together a little bit. And once again, she kind of runs away from that. But they ultimately do end up having a one on one conversation, like later on, where they had a fair that was going on in the town. And she walking around, probably feeling a certain type of way. And she goes check out what her what if guy is doing at the fair because obviously he had like some animals or some stuff that was around, like maybe a little petting zoo type of thing. And she says, like, "Can you talk? Can we talk?" And he's with his daughter. So he goes to take his daughter, I guess to the mother or whomever's taking care of her. And then they're able to kind of talk. And I was saying with the Benji character, something that is also maybe a little relatable as well. Benji and Ava, they're kind of out in an open field and they're drinking. They're sitting on a truck and she doesn't drink, but she wants to get drunk. So she's sitting there, she's getting drunk. They kind of doing a little bit of reminiscing. And then this is where you find out that Dallas and Ava had been together since they were young. And Dallas broke up with Ava back when they was like 17 or something. And when they broke up, she's talking somewhere with Benji and they're having their conversation. But see, the type of character that Dallas is, he one of those characters where they don't really want to break up with you. They want to just treat you any kind of way. So even if he said, all right, get on, I don't really care nothing about you, he still feels like you are his. So he broke up with her back then, and she's trying to, do what folks do, trying to move on, talk with Benji. And that's how Benji gets beat up by him and his brothers and gets put in the hospital. That was something that was referenced a little bit towards the beginning at the bar. But it was literally because she was trying to, and then you teenagers, so she was trying to move on. It's not really, it's rare that it's so like so super serious sometimes when you are teenagers. So, she's trying to move on and he ends up basically just blocking her. So they're talking about that and while she's getting drunk, she wants to have sex with him. And I could appreciate how Benji is like, no, it's not that I don't want to have sex with you. I do, but I want you to want me. If you do it, it's because you want to get revenge on Dallas. And it's like, I want you to be all the way in, all your attention on me. So, I mean, I can appreciate that type of scene. And it is it is actually something that's fairly realistic. So that's why I could appreciate that and relatable. So he doesn't do it, but he gets her back home before sunlight and she spends a week with her parents. And during this whole week, it's really to just clear her mind, get herself together, which she actually does. And when she goes back home, it's not like she's a different person, but her parents really tried to work on her. Like they were showing old videos of her when she used to like run track and remind her of the things that she wanted to do. And ever since she got with Dallas, she doesn't smile as much. And you know, that is that could be something that is true with some people. They get with certain folks and they just don't bring the best out of you. That's man or woman. So the parents really was trying to just, since this guy says he wanted a divorce, they really was just trying to just work on her in that week. And then you got Benji as a what if distraction. So she's coming back home and she's feeling refreshed and she's like somewhat ready to move on. So I kind of wish that Tyler Perry would have did, and I had to rewatch it, but I kind of wish during that time he would have did a montage, and that would have put a lot of stuff into the montage of the week, just showing like her with her parents and maybe her with Benji and just doing different things to really sell it that these things are really working on her. So then that whole week, like she's back and she's just like, I'm here, I'm ready, let's go. But he didn't do that. So she gets back and her friend is like, man, you looking good. You looking different and everything. And when she goes to her job, cause her and her friend work at the bank, Dallas comes up there. And to me, this is another kind of another unrealistic scene with the writing to me. He comes in the bank and he just starts cussing her out. And it's like they were so loud. Now I'm not saying that a drunk person is not going to be embarrassing in a public situation. They don't care. But I'm saying like he came to her job and was like, "You gonna give me my divorce," and all of that. And then the friend is getting into it with him, and he basically telling her like, you better back up for you lose your job kind of thing. And she don't like, I don't give a fuck about this job. I'm like, I don't, not saying that that wouldn't happen, but it was just kind of one of those things like, well, where would the security be? Because in a real situation, the security is not gonna just sit there and let you cuss out because they were so loud, even if they were in a somewhat closed off area. But I mean, the door was open. This is a glass area. You could see him pointing at her, even if you didn't know what was going on. You see that it's a little bit of body language in the aggressive sense. So you would like have like a security trying to escort him out. So that's that kind of stuff right there. It's like everybody just kind of look up, oh, she's getting cussed out, and then just kind of go on. Like there was nothing with a security person putting him out and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if they was doing that in front of clients or just regular staff people or whatever. But, her friend was saying maybe you should get a restraining order against him and everything. So she finally signs the papers. And during this time of her signing the papers, her friend ends up throwing her a divorce party. And like I said, this is a best friend couple. So she is friends with her best friend, and Dallas is best friends with her best friend's husband. So the best friend couple, they actually end up throwing her a divorce party. Now I don't know who was sending him photos, but probably his family. Dallas family had sent Dallas a photo of Ava and Benji hanging out in the country. Like they sent him that photo through text message. So he kind of see what's going on or whatever, and he feels like, well, you've been screwing him all this time. So at the divorce party and everything, they're having a good time. They invited Benji. They got some like guys there, some women there or whatever. And Dallas winds up pulling up, but the best friend, the husband of the best friend, he already goes outside and he prevents him from like coming in the house because there's music playing and he's feeling some kind of way talking about Dallas, and he just wants to talk to his best friend Jim, and Jim is just talking to him, and Jim keeps telling him when he tries to open up the car, and he was like, y'all throwing a party or whatever. Now I really thought that they were going to have Dallas come in and see Ava with Benji, and then he was gonna get upset. But they didn't have it set up like that. They let them get together like another time at the best friend house, and that's when Dallas comes in, and then he sees his best friend and his wife or ex-wife with Benji. So he sees everybody there. And it's just, but see, that's the thing with the writing with Tyler Perry again. Why was he just like he just was popping up? It wasn't even, you could say it was like on a stalker tip, but he was just popping up um in an annoying way. It's like it wasn't even, he didn't even have a reason. And then he wasn't even really going off if he was that type of guy. It was just like it was leaving so much that could have been said or could have been acted on that wasn't done with that character. But what amped it up, the climax, is Devin Morgan being like at the grocery store, and because the family, Dallas's family, is sending that image of Ava with Benji, and him thinking they already just always had something going on. He got that on his mind, and he like get a divorce. So he's already getting very amped up. So during this time with the divorce party, it ends with Benji um taking Ava home or whatnot, or somehow she gets home. But that second time around, when they're hanging out with the friends, the best friend is telling Benji to go ahead and take Ava home. And this is when they actually go to her house and they finally end up having sex. And so he sleeps over. So that's where the climax part comes in at with Dallas, cause he just shows up. Like she done signed the paper, she done had a whole divorce party. She is officially moving on with Benji. She done slept with the man. And Dallas, he don't even know all of that yet, but he just pops back up in her house after she done got the locks changed and stuff, and he's eating cereal. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna make him like that, I wish he would have been more insidious, so to speak. That's why I'm like, it was more annoying, like, oh, there go Dallas, rather than it was like scary. So he's just eating cereal, and then somehow, some way, he goes up the stairs, and the guy Benji is laying in the bed, and this is when they have a fight, and that's where everything just escalates, cause Dallas gets beat up, and then that's what's supposed to trigger her, and then she literally moving his body down the stairs with her little self. She moving him down the stairs and moving him out of the house and everything, and it goes on to where Debbie Morgan, Ava's mother, is at the grocery store, and Dallas, he somehow just pops up, and he almost manhandles her mama. Like he's grabbing on her and he's talking to her. Cause I was sitting up there thinking, when that situation happened with Dallas getting beat up and she dragging him down the stairs, and they put him in the car, Benji puts him in the car, and the dad like ends up coming over to Ava's house, and he like puts cameras around the house, and he shows all these guns and stuff, and he's like telling her what she need to do, and he was like, I got to get back home. I was thinking, I thought like, while he's doing that, the mother is left by herself, and that's when they actually did show Dallas talking with the mother, and not really roughing her up, but just kind of manhandling her a little bit, to where that would make the daddy so upset that he goes to the Bertrands' home, which they live trailer park off a country road, and threatens him with a shotgun. And they literally shoot one of the brothers, shoot him in the leg, and they beat him up and they have him put back up in his truck. So that makes her wanna react in the way that she was supposed to, I guess. One of those I've had enough fed up moments. And she baits him. Because I mean, I was calling out the film as it was happening. I'm like, she's going to bait him into trying to come and see her. And that's what she did. Her dad's in the hospital. The mom is there. Benji is there. And suddenly she's gone and she goes back home. Now, this is like about a couple of hours away from the country to going back to Atlanta or whatnot. So she's like on her way back home, and I knew she was going to bait Dallas into coming to her house so that she could kill him. I'm literally sitting here talking to the movie or just talking like she gonna try to kill him because he tried to kill her daddy. So that's what she does. She baits him and she's talking to him on the phone. And Dallas like, yeah, you've been with Benji all this time. I knew it. And she lied to get him to come over there and get him so angry. She like, yeah, I was with him the whole time. And he ends up coming, breaking into her house while she's there. And she's just sitting there drinking. And while she's sitting there drinking, she gets him to hit her by talking to him in a way that he probably is not used to her talking to him. So after he just kind of beats her up a little bit, she thanks him because you knew it was a setup because she wasn't even attempting to fight back. And then, she lied on the way to the house. So you knew it was a setup. So she's telling him, like, thank you for giving me the bruises. And, she put that shotgun on him. She put that shotgun on him and ended him. And during that time that was happening, Benji was all worried about her because she left the hospital and he called her best friend and told the best friend to go check on her please because he's without a car because she took Benji's car to go back home. So he had to take the parents' car and whatnot. So I know this was a long review and I was adding a little things here and there. But overall, I'm going to say it could have been so much better. It was watchable, but that's because of the actors in it. And it could have went into so much more detail as to why Dallas is the way that he is. It just it makes sense, but it wasn't explained, so it don't. So, at the end, he gone. And this the hospital scene at the end. So the dad is all right, and he's coming out of the hospital. And she's with Benji and the mama, and it's like the Bertrand, the rest of them. No, well, not the rest of them, because one of the brothers wasn't even there. It was like the mother with the two sons. It's supposed to be It went from 5 to 4, and then Dallas got killed, so 4 to 3, and it was only like the mother and two sons that was there. So the mother sit up there and she tells Ava at the hospital. I'm like, well, who she got with? They literally came to the hospital to tell Ava and them this because Dallas dead, and we don't know what happened. We don't know if they had a fake funeral for him or what. Cause that kind of was just did. It was just one of them scenes that I was laughing at because I'm like, they literally came to the hospital to tell Ava, like, the mama came, you done killed my son. Like, y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all supposed to be this badass family or whatever. Y'all not doing nothing. What was the point in them coming at the hospital when they were leaving the hospital? I just, if you're gonna put some action at the end, give me some action. Put some action on it. It was just like, you kill my boy. And she like, look, you need to leave it at that if you know what's best for you. That's what Ava was telling the mama. Like, leave it at that. So I know this was a long review. Hopefully you listen to it and enjoy it. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And hopefully I didn't rant too much. All in all, if I had to do it on a 5-star level with this movie, I give about a 2.5, 3 stars, 2.5 to 3, maybe 2.5. So, because it's something I would actually watch again if I'm in the mood and kind of crack up about. So, yeah. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, and support the channel. Until next time, bye.